This is David Knox coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm joined by Bob Clarkson, who's going to be our guest today. So we'll talk a little bit about the October 2015 videos, and I have a guest presenter today, Bob Clarkson, discussing recruiting the agents you want. Over the weekend, we sent this email out, as we do at the beginning of every month, and this is an email to be forwarded to your agents. We rely upon you to take this email and forward it, and the reason for that is when we were doing it and emailing agents, it absolutely did not work. We got spammed out, filtered out, complaints. Agents didn't know it was legitimate. Just got in way too much trouble. So when you do it, it's coming from your own servers, your own names, and it's more likely to get through. So again, forward that. You can download the user guide and email that to them as well. And remember to Skype me under meeting. I did this meeting this morning. So that was, I don't know, about 2 hours ago. Carlos invited me to his meeting down in Miami. He had a great group of people there, and everybody's in a good mood. And I did a little bit of presentation on listing, and then responded to some question and answer. So I get a kick out of doing it. The agents like it. It increases viewership. It gives you a chance to have a meeting done by somebody else. And so again, I invite you to do it, and you can call or email me, and we'll schedule it. In fact, Bob Clarkson, who is on today's call, I might even ask him to tell you about the Skype. Our videos today, this month, KFT 91, listing, one call or two. I'm trying to focus on listings because I know many of you have a big push for that, as of course we always do. And you know, I was in a seminar and agents always say, hey, should I do one call or two? And the answer is, well, it depends, but just avoid the no call. And general philosophy is the higher the price range, the more likely to do a two call. And so check out that video. And then this month, quick tip is from our friend Bob Wolf, who talks about some personal proactive differences, and it's always nice to hear from Bob. So I hope you guys are enjoying the quick tips. And now to our guest speaker. In fact, Bob, pardon me, before I introduce you, since we're going to talk about recruiting, I would like to let all of you know that we have a page that I call the recruiting page. And here's what it is. It's our web address, realestatetrainingbydavidknox.com/showcase. And what you can do with this is frame this page on your careers or recruiting website and use it to promote the training. Now, right now, it shows what's new for September. As I say, we're in this first Tuesday period, so we're going to update that to what's new for October, and that should be updated. In this video, I'm going to play it. Video doesn't work on webinars very well, but I'll just show you what it says.
We're investing in your success by providing 24/7 access to more than 300 videos and support materials. Real Estate Training by DavidKnox.com is an online, on-demand training resource that features.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop that. If you guys would like that raw video file, I believe it's 14.5 megabytes. It's a 2-minute video, and you can post it on your website, and we'll give you the public version of it so you can email it to people. It's a great way to promote. So remember that. And if you're new members, this link should have been in your welcome email. And one more thing I'll remind you for new members, when you go to the What's New for the current month, which is October, you can see all of our topic lists in PDF or Word. And the purpose for them in Word is so you could use it as a basis to create your own curriculum. So let's do topics by curriculum October 2015. So here's our current list, and it's a nice way to have a TV guide. The videos that are new are in bold, and I have sorted them by prospecting, listing, and selling, and open houses for sale, my owner, etc. So it's a nice way to have your own printed TV guide and take a look and see what we have in the way of videos. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to our presentation, and I'm going to introduce my friend Bob Clarkson. I've known Bob for I don't know how long. Maybe, Bob, you can remind me when I turn it over to you. 20 years or so, and he's going to talk about choosing people, making the appointment, what happens on the first date, and I agree with the concept. Recruiting is like dating. What you're really selling, understanding the speed of the process, and coaching the resignation. So, Bob, are you there?
I am here, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. And, Bob, hey, first of all, thanks for joining us. I always appreciate it. To have our members be guests on our webinar, and you're going to talk about one of the more important topics, and that's recruiting. Bob, it is to you. Thanks for joining me, and the floor is yours.
Well, you know, David, I don't remember when we first met, but I do know you had dark hair, David, and Also, it's an honor to be here. I'm excited about this. I'm really looking forward. One of my favorite subjects is recruiting. I know I have a twisted mind. Most people hate recruiting, but it's turned into one of those things that I just really enjoy talking about. As some of you probably heard, we had a little bit of rain down here in South Carolina. I'm located on Hilton Head Island. So, but I just want you to know I am sitting on the roof of the office with my rain jacket on, and it's going to be okay. I told David, come hell or high water, I'd do this program, so here we are. Also, David mentioned the Skype attending a meeting, and last month David attended our meeting with Skype with our agents in the room, and I got to tell you what, brokers, you got to be on top of this. It was a big hit. David had him laughing. He gave him some incredible information. I'd love to introduce David because I always talked about him being a great trainer, and his material is so wonderful, and he's helped so many agents that I've had the pleasure to work with over the years, and you can't make a better investment than putting your investment with David Knox to train your agents. Let me give you a little background before we jump into this. The Alliance Group Realty I started 4 years ago. It's a 4-year-old company. We now have 49 associates. We expect to do about $70 million this year in closed volume. We are a 70-30 company with a cap on people's commissions, and we are profitable. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of a profile of the Alliance Group Realty so you understand where I'm kind of coming from. New company, under 50 agents, well, one agent under 50 agents, and I hope I'm going to change that by the end of the week. Hilton Head Island, if you've not been here, it's a paradise. Come on down and see us. It's a resort retirement community right just north of the Savannah River, so we're kind of on the Georgia South Carolina border, way down there in the corner. But it's a very high-end resort retirement community. People come here from around the world to play golf, and some of you who are golfers have probably seen our Heritage tournament that's on the air right after the Masters every year. But I want to tell you the recruiting material I'm going to talk about today. The reason I talk about Hilton Head and the size of our company is because I just want you to know this works everywhere. I've trained a lot of brokers across the country, in fact, a few over in Europe, on this material, and I just, what I'm going to show you today will work no matter what your market is. This is not market-specific stuff. So I'm going to jump right into it because I know we have about 25-30 minutes, and this is a very big topic. So I'm going to talk fast, move quick, and try to cover things that I think will help you in thinking about how you approach your recruiting. Let me begin with the fact that recruiting fixes everything. I had a broker say to me one day, I can recruit my way out of every problem I have. I started to laugh and said, really, how's that work? And he said, well, you think about it. My office isn't as profitable as I'd like it to be, and the quickest and fastest way to get there is to recruit more agents. Yes, I can train them, I can do better marketing, and I can do all these things, cut overhead or whatever, but at the end of the day, the best and fastest way to get there is to recruit new agents into the company, or agents in general. The other thing that he said to me, which I think is true, and I've experienced it myself, is there's nothing better for the morale of your company than bringing in really good people. So recruiting fixes everything. And by the way, if you've got a daughter going to college or your wife wants that new Mercedes, okay, just set your recruiting goals accordingly. And honestly, folks, that's what I do. I look at our company now being profitable, and I think, where do I want to go next? And I think about my personal life and why I'm in business. And frankly, I can equate my recruiting efforts right back to how do I want this company to look, how much money is it going to make in the next couple of years, and it all comes back to recruiting. So recruiting fixes everything. Now, over the years, I've asked countless brokers the question, what would you rather do? Would you rather make recruiting calls, or would you rather have a root canal? And I guess you can all probably relate to this. Most of the brokers, probably 95% of them, say, well, I'd much rather have the root canal, okay? And it's always intrigued me why brokers are so adverse to recruiting. Most of your recruiting, of course, as we know, happens when an agent refers a friend and says, look, I've got this agent I'm doing a deal with, and she's not happy where she is, and that's how most recruiting happens. So we're here talking about today about proactive recruiting. So let's go back to the beginning, okay? Let's look at why brokers are not excited about recruiting, and that's because rejection is painful, right? We all remember what it's like when we asked that girl out to the prom and she shot us down, and it was devastating, right? And I know what it's like when you're a broker and you've got 10 years in the business, you've got all the designations and all the awards and all those kinds of things, and then you call this agent that's been in the business for 10 years, and they blow you off. They blow you out of the water. And so how excited are you going to be to make another recruiting call when you just got rejected, and frankly it's kind of demoralizing. So what I'd like to do is sort of bring this whole thing center. And let's think about what recruiting really is. What is the definition of recruiting? And I think the definition of recruiting is pretty simple and clean. It's a process that begins with a discussion and leads to a commitment. You'll notice I italicized the word process. And that's where I think a lot of brokers go wrong, or managers, because they don't really see it as a process. Okay, they see it as sort of telemarketing. I'm going to call agents and try to get somebody to come in here and look at our company. I'm suggesting you take a very different approach. And I often hear recruiters say to me, "Oh no, I'll teach you how to do a one meeting close." And I think, okay, great. That's like my friend who met the girl on Saturday night and ended up getting married in Vegas on Sunday morning. I'm not sure that's the kind of relationship we're looking for. At any rate, let me go ahead and walk you through the marriage process. And I want you to be able to think about your relationships, and whether you're married or not, think about your relationships and tell me if this doesn't work, because what I'm going to try to do is get you to understand the recruiting process is exactly the same process. And if you think of it that way, I think you're going to get a much better result. So we identifying the person. So let's think about this, okay? The women are saying, wow, he's handsome and he's well dressed and he's driving a nice car and he looks like fun, and the men are looking over saying, gosh, she's awful cute and she's sharp. And so the first thing we do in marriage is we tune into people that really we're attracted to. And let's go to the next one. The next one is the tricky one, okay? How do we ask that person out on a date? It's kind of scary, because you don't want the same problem with recruiting. You don't want to be rejected. It's humiliating. And so you look for every opportunity in the world to create a situation where you can get to know that person better. The next process in the marriage is going to be to build the relationship. If the first date goes well, then building a relationship gets easy, because on that first date we're going to discover a lot of things and see how the chemistry is, and learn a lot of things and discover. We're going to talk about that in detail here in just a few minutes. The next piece of this is to align goals, and that's very important, isn't it, in marriage? Okay, because once the relationship starts to build, if she wants to, if she's in med school and wants to have a home with kids, and he's thinking about joining the Professional Windsurfers Association and going pro, that may not be the right alignment, right, in a real relationship. And the same thing, by the way, is true in real estate. You want to make sure that your goals as a broker and as a company are going to line up very nicely with what the agent's looking for in a company. The next thing is to propose. Now let me just stop here for a minute and ask all of you, especially the ladies, and the men have learned this the hard way, is it a good idea to identify somebody, go on a date, and propose right away? Of course not. So this has to work in a flow that makes sense. You don't want to propose until the time is right. And so I see a lot of recruiters make the mistake of sitting down with someone in a recruiting presentation, and they're basically trying to get them to join the company. Well, that'd be like going on a first date and trying to get the person to get married to you. It's a little bit too premature. I'm going to talk about this, think about this process. The next part is to set a date, and again, relating to the marriage thing, we've seen people that say, well, we're going to get married maybe by the end of the decade. That's not the right answer. So you want to have that date be short and reasonable to make the transition and to get things set up in such a way that it all works. And then, of course, last but not least is making it official, and that's the fun part. I can very easily just replace marriage with recruiting, and it's the exact same process. We're going to identify our prospects, we're going to go on a date, we're going to build a relationship, align our goals, then we're going to propose to them when the timing is right. We're going to set a date for when they're going to transition to our company, and then we're going to make it official. Okay? Let's talk about identifying targets for a moment, because I have some very strong feelings on this subject that I think you will all relate to and appreciate, and that is when I think about agents, I don't think about production so much as I do about character, ethics, and fun. Because I know that if I'm successful in getting this person to join our company, when they come in the door, it's like having someone join your dinner party at your house and everybody's excited to have them show up. So if you're trying to recruit somebody just based on production, but their character is questionable, their ethics are a little bit on the rough side, and they're not a lot of fun, well, then your agents are going to get real excited about having them be part of your company. I will tell you that also I have sort of a litmus test after 35 years of doing this, being in this business. And that litmus test is when I get out of my car in the morning and look at the front door of my office, I want to run in there excited because all my friends are there. I don't want to have a situation where I pull up to the parking lot and don't want to get out of the car and think, well, maybe I can just go kill some time and stay away because, Johnny and Susie and Frankie are here and I just don't want to deal with them. I want to have people in my office that have great character, that have wonderful ethics, that I can trust, that are a great deal of fun. And frankly, production is not my highest priority. I've sort of changed my way of doing things, and my agents' production levels, we're a company that's made up of people from 1 million to 5 million. I don't have a lot of really heavy hitters here because they suck the oxygen out of the room. They're, they're high maintenance, and also the high producing agents, in many cases, as you all can probably relate to, if they're not getting the best deal in town, they're going to be, going somewhere else. So I built my company based on people that I really enjoy working with, and if they're doing 1 to 3 million in production, we can help them get it a little bit higher and grow it. That's what I'm about. I also find that those people are much more appreciative of what we do as a company, and frankly, they're easier to recruit as well. My wife has a saying that when I come home at night and say, "Gosh, I just had a date with this great agent today. I'm really excited," and she always says to me, "Would you have him over for dinner tomorrow night?" And really look forward to it. And I say, "Yeah," and she'll say, "Good, hire him." If I say, "Well, I don't know, I'm not sure I'd want to do that. They're a little weird," she'd say, "Then don't hire him." And so I think that's also a wonderful test, because let's face it, we spend a lot of time and energy on our agents, and we want to work with people that are fun, that have great character and great ethics. Here's another very important point that I've taught a lot of brokers, and so many of them have come back and said, you're right on the money with this. This makes perfect sense. And that is to get in the zone. And my former life, I was a professional ski racer, and you learn a lot about getting in the zone in that business. And so I applied the same thing to the real estate business. And so here's what I do first. To get in the zone, I make a date with myself first to go recruiting. Let's go back to the root canal for just a minute. If I said to you, you have a root canal sometime this week, would you show up? You might show up at Friday at 4 o'clock. I mean, you're not, it's going to be a very loose commitment, something you really don't want to do, so you're going to push it back. So what I do is I go to my calendar and I say, Thursday, just like a doctor's appointment, Thursday from 2 to 3:30, I'm going recruiting. And I put it right in my calendar. Next thing I do is I leave the office. I go to a place where there's no distractions. I cannot recruit from my office, and the reason why is if you were sitting here right now, I've got agents walking back and forth in front of the office making faces at me. I've got emails in front of me. My phone is sitting here. I've got text messages. I've got contracts that need to be reviewed. And frankly, I'll never get to recruiting if I sit here because everything else will get in the way. The other thing I'm going to tell you, and I think some of you will be really happy to hear this, is I do not believe the recruiting is a numbers game, contrary to popular belief. I'm not interested in sitting down like a telemarketer and making 25 recruiting calls. So when I make that date with myself and go to a place where there's no distractions, which by the way happens to be my sailboat, because if I go home there's too many things distracting me. The boat is quiet. I can sit down below in the cabin and get my game face on and go for it. But I'm calendar driven. So what I do is this. I want to make 2 recruiting appointments a week. So I sit there on my sailboat and think, okay, I got to get 2 recruiting appointments, let's go. And I look at my hit list and I study my numbers and I get my game face on and I start making calls. Now the whole name of the game here is I get 2 recruiting appointments, I'm done, and maybe I'm going to tinker or take the sailboat out and sail it. Okay, if you're a golfer, I'm suggesting to you that what you do is you say, okay, I'm playing golf at 1 o'clock, I'm going to make some recruiting calls, I just need to get 2 appointments, and if I can get 2 appointments, I'm going to go hit a bucket of balls and get ready to play. So reward yourself, but don't be numbers driven, be calendar driven. 2 appointments per week, face-to-face with agents, and you will be a big success in the recruiting arena. Also put on your game face. You got to be ready, okay? And let's look at what you probably have heard a million times. Here's what I hear. I'm sure you hear the same thing. I'm happy where I am, okay? I've got the best deal in town. I'm too busy. I can't meet with you. I'm not moving. I would never work in your office because Susie works there. These are the typical things when a recruiter calls an agent. This is the feedback, and these are the typical ones. So here's what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting this. Don't make recruiting calls, okay? I don't make recruiting calls. What I do is I simply ask for a date. Very simple. I kind of stay away from the lunch thing, and the reason why is lunch is very disruptive. I can't talk and eat and be distracted by a waitress. So typically I'm going to go for iced tea in the afternoon or coffee. Sometimes if it's a guy, it might even be a beer at the bar. So wherever it is where we're not going to get distracted and it's non-threatening, okay? Okay, so here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be saying to them things because they're going to object. They're going to say, okay, well, what's this about? And I'm going to be talking to them about these kinds of points. Okay, hey, I just want to get to know you better. I like to know all the good people. I'd really like your opinions on some things. I just want to have a realtor-to-realtor discussion. Promise I'm not going to make a recruiting presentation. I don't. Okay, you'll see why in just a couple of minutes. And I say, okay, look, I know you're thinking I'm trying to recruit you. That's not what I'm doing. I just want to chat with you about a number of things. And let me say this without sounding like a bait and switch, because some people have sort of questioned this. Here's the bottom line, okay? No meeting, no chance. So I'm going to say about anything I need to say to an agent to get him to sit down with me without being deceiving. I'm not going to deceive anybody. But what inevitably happens is once we start into this first date, inevitably they start to recruit me. They start to say, so what is your program over there? I understand it's a 70-30 cap. And I smile and say, you want me to break my promise? And they always say, yeah, okay, go ahead, break your promise. And so the first meeting is not about recruiting, and this may come as a shock, but just stay with me and I'll show you how this works. Here's what happens on this first date, okay? It's a comfortable conversation. I start off like I met my next door neighbor. So where are you from? Before we get into the business, where are you from? How'd you get into this crazy business? How'd you end up moving on to Hilton Head? Do you have dogs, kids? Are you married? Tell me about your life. What'd you do prior to real estate? And I'm going to have a discussion with them where they're going to start to sit back in their chair and relax, and we're going to have some laughs, and we're going to talk, and they're going to ask me the same questions back, and it's going to be a very comfortable conversation. As I move into the next phase, I'm going to be gathering knowledge. I'm going to be asking them, what drives you crazy about this business? What do you like? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? And I'm going to, those kinds of questions. Where does your business come from? Okay, and sometimes I'm careful with that because they don't want to share, so I'm going to ask that question very lightly, depending on how willing they are, and basically share business philosophies. One of the things that I say to agents is all the time is, I'm a non-competing broker. I'm in the real estate agent business. I'm not actually in the real estate business. The agents in our company are our clients, and our philosophy in life is we're the overhead and they're the revenue, and we treat it accordingly. So when the agents who work in our company walk in the door, we treat them like clients because we know if we do that, they'll be able to give their clients better service because we stand behind them. Now let me ask you a question. How many agents would say, oh, that's a terrible idea? They love it. Okay, they warm up to that. So whatever your proposition or whatever you're about, make sure you share your business philosophy, because most of the time that's going to lead to another discussion about, they're going to start saying, well, I wish our broker would think that way, and it starts to turn into a very good first date. By the way, have fun. I like to mix it up with some laughs. I say some funny things, make fun of myself a little bit here and there. But please understand what's happening. As this first date is occurring, just like a real date, they're sitting there saying, would I work for this person? Your number one objective in your first meeting is to understand that this person sitting across the table is looking at you saying, would I work for this person? And you've got to behave and ask questions and say things that are going to not be threatening. Okay, don't push too hard. What you're really doing is you're bonding with this person that you're having a cup of coffee with, and you're talking about the business and philosophy, and you're having a good time. Now, the first date, if they don't like, and ladies, you could respond to this one, if they don't like you and trust you, is there going to be a second date? Not a chance. Especially, it's true with the men as well. But that first date is so critical. So you've got to make sure you take a very non-threatening approach, have fun with them, realize that they're looking at you, to say, what kind of a broker is this? What kind of a person is this? And if they like you and trust you, then it's going to get real easy from there. Don't make this mistake, okay? How many times have I sat down with clients of mine and watched them do a recruiting presentation, and they bring into the conference room or the coffee shop all these pamphlets and brochures and flip charts and 3-ring binders, and they dump every benefit of the company over their head, and about halfway through you look at the prospect and realtor, and they're looking at you like glazed over, like, get me out of here, okay? Do not do that. That's not what this is about. That comes way later. Okay, now we're going to continue dating. Where are we going to take them? Just like a real date. If I'm on a real date and she says to me, listen, I really love Italian food and I like the theater, well, guess where we're going on our second date? I'm not going to take her to the ball game with a hot dog. I'm not doing that. I'm going to take her where she wants to go. So if I'm talking to an agent and they're telling me that they're not getting enough support where they work, or that they really want to expand their internet websites, then I'm going to get back with them. My second date's, what do you think I'm going to show them? I'm going to show them our internet presence. I'm going to show them our marketing support. I'm going to talk about our support staff. And so I'm going to take them where they want to go. The way I approach that is typically after the first date, just like real life, a day or two later, I call them back and say, hey, I was thinking about you this morning. And you know what I was thinking about is you had mentioned, you know, they wanted to expand your internet service. I'd love to get together again and chat with you about that some more, because I'd like to show you what we're doing that you might find to be very helpful in your business. And so I'm just going to play right back to the sort of the detective work, the information that I gathered on that first date. And again, folks, think about this. It's just like real dating. If the first one worked really well, it's going to be very easy to get the second one, okay? And you're going to both know if it's a good fit. You'll know. I mean, there are some agents that you're going to go on a date with, and you're going to say, well, you know, I don't think they're going to move, and I don't think they're interested at all, and they're not really that friendly, and I'm not sure this is going to work. And there'll be others that it's just like chemistry. That agent looks across the table and said, would I work for this person? And the answer is absolutely yes, and I like them a lot more than my current broker. And you bet I'll go out on another date with this person and hear what they have to say. That's what this is about. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. You've got to be clear on what they need. And so a really good recruiter, after that first date, is going to come back to the office with a notepad and sit down and list the 2 or 3 things that this agent needs. They could do so much better if they had marketing, more marketing support. I have a graphic designer in my office, so I play off of that really hard. Or they're realize, okay, they hate doing floor time and are being forced to do it. They don't have this opportunity or that. They're not happy with the support. They're not getting what they need. You got to be clear on what it is that they need. And sometimes, if the meeting's going really well, or the date, I ask them just plain straight up, what is it you need to grow your business? And that's sort of a soft close. I'll get into the hard stuff in just a second. They only join for 2 or 3 reasons, not 10. I think some brokers make the mistake that I've got so much stuff, man. When they see everything we have, they're going to it's going to blow their mind. They're going to want to come with us right off the bat. That's not the case. Most agents are only looking for 2 or 3 things, and they really don't care about the fact that you've got an electronic listing presentation, or they don't care that you have a great location, or whatever it may be. Most agents are looking for 2 or 3 things that really is going to make a difference in their business, and not 10. But somehow the brokers, we make a mistake of trying to show them everything we have. Don't worry about it. Just focus on what's most important to them. Move forward at their pace. Again, I kind of made the point earlier with don't propose on the first date. I think you have to have a sense of when they're excited, and when they're excited, you pounce on it. And if they're not excited, you keep digging for things and gathering information and having discussions. But you have to go at their pace. Again, back to relationships, regular relationships. We've heard that before. The guy says, "Gee, I ran away because she wanted to move too quick." Of course, sometimes the opposite happens, and so just be careful. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't move too quick. You want to move at their pace. Not to say that when you see the opportunity to go for a close, by all means go for it, but you don't want to be too aggressive, because if you are, you're scaring them away, just like a real relationship. Last point I want to make to you that's really important is keep in mind they're joining you. I think some brokers make the mistake of thinking they're joining my company because my company's so great. You might have a great company, and that's all part of the equation, don't get me wrong, but when you're looking eyeball to eyeball sitting across the table from somebody, they are putting their faith in you as the broker, and they want to know you're going to be there when they need you. They want to know that you have the expertise and the caring to be able to help them with the situations that you're going to have their back when they really need you. And so they're drawn. Don't sell yourself short. And I go out of my way a lot of times to talk about how it's almost a fault of mine, because I really, I really stand behind our agents. And they can call me at 10 o'clock at night. I answer the phone and I help them. I mean, my agents are the lifeblood of my company. So don't sell yourself short. Make sure you understand they're joining you. Okay, let me go into a couple of quick closing techniques, and I want to be careful of the time, David, because I know we're probably running a little over, but here's a couple of quick ones I'll whip through fast. Hard closing techniques. I love this one. When I get to a point where they're really warming up to me, and maybe it's a second or third date, and they're asking some great questions, and they're making comments like, yeah, you do it so much better than we do over at our company, I'm going to probably look at them at one point and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 you're going to join right now, and 1, you're never going to join. Where are you? And if they say I'm a 7, of course my response is, okay, how do I get you to a 10? And so that's always a great question to ask, because they will tell you. If you've built a good enough relationship, they'll actually say, well, this is what's holding me up. Sometimes I actually tell them, let's be totally honest. What's holding you back? I'm going to get to a point where, just like a real relationship, we've dated and built a relationship, and now it's time to take this to the next level. And so I am going to start to put some pretty strong closing techniques on them in a very friendly way, so it doesn't chase them away. But I'm going to kind of get to the point where if I can't figure out why they're close, but they're not quite there, I'm going to press these buttons because I want to find out exactly what's holding them back. And sometimes they may say, well, everything lines up perfect, Bob, but I've got these 4 listings and I don't know what to do. Or I'm on 100% right now because I hit my cap at my company and I've got until January and I don't want to give that up. So can we overcome those things? Absolutely. I want to know what they are so I can have the opportunity to overcome them. Create urgency. I don't do this a lot, but sometimes, if we've got that one office left that I know you wanted, it's a great time to join before the spring market gets here, and there may be some other urgency things you can create. I don't use that one a lot, but every once in a while it comes into play. By the way, I ask them for the business. There comes a point in time where I look them straight in the eye and say, we've had a lot of discussion. I think I have a very good grip on your business. I think you've gotten to know me very well. And I have to tell you something, I think this is a perfect fit, and I would really love you to join our company. I think it's a great fit. I would really want you to come here. It would be so exciting, and it would be such a thrill to have you on our team. So join our family is a word I typically will use. So I ask for the business. And then, of course, the ultimate was a lesson I learned from a friend of mine who used to get in these situations where you're right on the edge, and they're ready, but they're just not quite committing, and he would throw the chair back at the table and stand up and put his hand out and say, so do we have a deal or what? If they shake your hand, it's over. If they don't shake your hand, then comes the moment in time where you're able to say, okay, let's find out what's holding you back. It's kind of like in the marriage proposal, you get down on your knee with the diamond ring, and the girl won't put it on her finger. Well, guess what? What's going to happen next is we're going to figure out what it's going to take, or whether this relationship is going to continue to move forward or not. So these are kind of your hard closes, but just know that there comes a point in time where you need to move that relationship more toward the marriage. When it happens and they decide, okay, I'm with you, I'm doing it, and they shake the hand. In some cases, I run around and give the lady a hug and say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, this is so great. I celebrate, and I really announce it big time. I announce it to our agents. I put a press release in the paper. I want their past clients and customers and friends to know they joined my company. At the same time, I want every realtor in the market to know the same thing, because guess what? They're all watching and they're saying, wow, Cindy just went over there, and last month John went over. And so that's how I build momentum. So I'm going to announce it and celebrate it. If you recruit a good agent to your company, don't be quiet about it. Be huge. I mean, make it a firework display in your market so everybody knows, because that's what it takes to build momentum. Nothing beats momentum. Get on the train. If your company is flatlining and hasn't grown a whole lot, then there's really not a lot of excitement about anybody thinking about what are they doing over there and do I need to go talk to them. If, on the other hand, your company is growing, what I find, we're growing fast. We had three agents join us this month. My recruiting calls are much easier now. I very rarely use recruiting and easy in the same sentence. But what I find is that when we have great momentum and we're adding people on a regular basis, there's huge curiosity. And when I call agents, they will meet with me very easily because they're like, what are you doing over there? I know 4 or 5 people who have gone there in the last couple of months. So if you don't have momentum, the only way to build it is to get on the warpath and start recruiting. Let me just kind of remind everybody, recruiting fixes everything. And so it has to be a priority. If you're going to have a successful brokerage and be profitable and have really good morale in your office and be able to grow and expand and do fun things, the only way I know how to get there is to recruit, because it's going to fix all of your problems. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw my name and phone number up there. My email, please drop me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to call me down here in Hilton Head. If you get down here, come see me. I kind of whipped through that. I'm sorry about the technical glitches, but it has been great fun. I wish we had a little more time, but it's been great fun. And David, I so appreciate the honor of being on your program.
Well, Bob, thank you very much. That was just a great presentation. You know, technical stuff happens. We'll fix that. And for those of you who'd like to ask questions, start typing them now, and I'll give you some time because I just want to summarize. Bob, I just, seriously, I've heard a lot of presentations on recruiting, and I just thought that was a wonderful presentation. And when I, you know, take a look at some of the stuff that I thought was really interesting, let me just get, whoops, just get back here. First of all, the process versus the event. I think agents, managers, we all just want the stuff to happen right now. And I remember there was one guy recruited. It literally took, I think, 8 years or 9 years. His name was Sam Fudenberg. We couldn't believe we got him. In fact, his daughter aged so much she ended up working for me. And I like the idea of not focusing just on production. There's a lot of production agents that you would never be in the same room with. So I thought that was an important point. And the time blocking and being away from the office, I just thought that's great. Get out where you're, you know, and on your boat's got to be a great place to go. I just reading some comments here. Great stuff, thanks! Exclamation mark. And actually, you converted me. I've used the hey, make lunch. You know what? I'm never going to teach the lunch anymore because I agree with you. Lunch takes too long and it's too expensive and wrecks your day. I like the coffee, so I'm going to. I agree with you on that. And by the way, Richard Branson agrees with you, and a guy named Mike Vance also does. Says if you take care of your employees, or in our industry, if you take care of your agents, they'll take care of the customers. So it's not about customer service, it's about agent service. So I'm just going to pause for a second, see if anybody has any questions of Bob, and you can post them now. And I got a feeling we'll get some, love this presentation with all its technical difficulties, etc. Can we find out more? I'm already applying what I learned. That's great. Maybe we'll have Bob back sometime, and who knows, maybe we'll get to South Carolina and I'll videotape him. I am going to videotape Deanne Golden down in Georgia later this month. So I know this is kind of a long day, but remember, I'm going to post a recording. So Bob, great job. How did you feel about it?
I hope that the message came across well, and I really enjoyed doing it, and I want to wish everybody great success in recruiting. If you have any questions or just want to chat, feel free to contact me anytime.
Okay. Hey, we have one question. Don asked, how long between the first date and the second date?
Is Don married?
I believe he is.
How long was it before? You know, pretty quick. The answer, Don, really is pretty fast. I mean, I'm not going to let it go a week. If I have a really, really good sit-down coffee meeting with an agent on a Tuesday, well, you know, about Thursday, I may have let a day or two kind of go in, so I don't appear to be over aggressive. But I'll tell you what, before the end of the week, I'm going to be on the phone saying, hey, that was a great time I had with you. I really love what you said about this. And I've been thinking about you. And here's something I would throw out to you that I'd love to get back together. And, you know, whenever's convenient, it's fine for you. I'm very non-threatening. So I would say, yes, within a day or probably 2 days, 2 to 3 days. Don't let it go any longer than that because then it just kind of gets old.
Okay, good answer. By the way, another close, kind of a non-committal close, you can say to somebody, hey, would you like to be considered for the position? That way they're saying yes without you having to say yes. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and you guys have, you can email me or Bob. Hopefully you'll see the screenshot of his email. And thank you Thank you all very much for being members of Real Estate Training by DavidKnox.com. And Bob, again, thank you for a great presentation. I wish you all a great October, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye, you guys.